In question B of the Animal Farm exam, you will need to talk about language, and the question will ask you to comment on the language used to show something about a character or about an event or about possibly ideas or themes in the extract. And once again, you'll need to use evidence from the extract to support your answer. This question is asking you to comment on the language used by Squealer in the extract. You need to find 3 points about language, and that could be particular language techniques, or it could just be words and phrases that tell you something about Squealer. Remember that in Animal Farm, there are often examples of language used for persuasion. So persuasive language techniques such as rhetorical questions, exaggeration, direct address, where the character is talking directly to perhaps the other animals, alliteration, are all things that you should be looking out for. Orwell uses repetition quite a lot, so you could think about how that's been used and why that could have been used. And there is often subversion, where the meaning of words are changed to mean something different when the pigs are trying to manipulate words for the other animals. There's often examples of irony, and the language is very simple because it's written as almost this fairy tale so that everybody can understand what is happening. In this extract here, we have Squealer trying to persuade the animals that Snowball is a common enemy. Snowball is somebody who's turned against the other animals, and this is after the windmill has been destroyed and the other animals are questioning Squealer about this depiction of Snowball that Napoleon is wanting to give to the other animals. I've highlighted particular things, particular bits of language that could tell you something about Squealer, or as the question says, the language that's used by Squealer in the extract. The key points that I've thought about are that Squealer is being very secretive and mysterious, the description of heroic Napoleon and what you could say about that, how Napoleon is always described as being a great hero. And there is repetition when he says categorically, categorically at the end to suggest that there is no doubt about what Comrade Napoleon has said. We've got, that was part of the arrangement, cried Squealer, and then later on exclaimed Squealer, frisking from side to side. So you could comment on how language suggests the excitement of Squealer's oracy style, how Squealer talks to the animals. Once you've got your key points, you need to put those points into at least 3-point evidence explain paragraphs. So here is an example of that. And we've got the idea that Squealer suggests the pigs have access to secret documents, suggesting that the other animals are not aware of the reality of the situation and to make them sound more powerful. In reality, he was trying to lure us to our doom, positions all the animals together, so using that pronoun us suggests that they are against the common enemy Snowball. Squealer further distances Snowball by referring to Napoleon as our heroic leader, whose contribution to the battle is suddenly exaggerated with powerful verbs like sprang forward and sank his teeth, suggesting that he was a lot more integral, a lot more important to the winning of the battle than he really was. The idea that Squealer's excitement and ability to persuade the animals is shown through verbs such as cried and exclaimed, as well as the way he is frisking from side to side. And finally, the repetition of categorically implies that there is no possibility that the pigs could be wrong. These last 2 points could be developed slightly more detail, but obviously you need to remember that you've only got 10 minutes for this question to find what you want to talk about and to actually write it down. You're going to get marked on the higher paper for your reference to how the writer achieves effects. So you need to talk about the language that is used, but more importantly, what the effect of that language is. You need to show an understanding, a clear understanding for a C of linguistic, grammatical, structural and presentational features of language. Now, all that means is that you are able to comment on different language techniques that have been used and think about the effects of them. And the examples that you need to give are needing to be clear, relevant to the point that you're making, or if you're aiming for a higher grade, you should be trying to embed as many quotes as you can to prove that point that you're making.